What's up? Welcome to Late Night HXC. No, this is not a podcast, and if you call this a podcast, in the comments, I will find you. Trust me. Well, anyway, the question of the day is, who is your currently favorite vocalist? For me, it's probably Marcus Bridge from Northlane, and it kind of helps that I've seen Northlane live very recently, and Marcus was pitch perfect, amazing, and beautiful, and gorgeous, and talented. But what about you? Let me know in the comments. So what is Late Night HXC exactly? This is a project that I've been working on for a couple of weeks already, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. It's not exactly a podcast show where we talk music, memes, news, updates, drama, releases, tours, announcements, and of course, a segment, the main event kind of segment for these is a talk with a guest. So today we have a guest, and a very cool guest, so wait till the end to find out and check out our cool discussion. But you know, because it's the first episode, I would really love your input. What you think of this format? What would you want to see more of? What would you want to see less of? Just give me anything, any pointers, any thoughts at all in the comments down below. This is a pilot, so there might never be a second episode. So let me know if you like this, and if we get enough positive reaction that I will continue this series. But that's pretty much it, so let's hit the ground running, shall we? First news of the day is a bit old, but it's also quite relevant still. The Big Six is now officially called Project Vengeance. The ultimate collab group of some of the filthiest deathcore vocalists of our time is now changing a name to add to a plethora of changes that has happened to this project ever since the beginning of the year. We've seen all the rotations of members, but I do think that this change is very, very positive for the project. Inevitably helps a situation where there's going to be another rotation of members. That means they don't really have to stick to number 6. They can be a quartet, a quintet, a trio, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be 6 anymore. So I think it's a positive change, and if the boys are happy with it, I'm happy with it. To add to that, the biggest news from that project is actually a new song, Cut, Bleed, Repeat. I've heard it's pretty good. Personally, I haven't listened to it yet. I'm saving it up for the stream on Saturday. So if you want to hear me react to that live, check out my Twitch this Saturday. In other news, Josh from Northlane is a god. That's it. That's the news. The OG legends of metalcore, Unearth, have recently announced a new album, a new project with their new single, Mother Betrayal, that we've checked out on the recent stream. The album is going to be called The Wretched, The Ruinous, and it's going to be coming out on the same day as the Currents album, May 5th. Pretty stacked day, if you ask me. This is a true post-COVID comeback for the band, because this is a follow-up to their previous album, which came out in 2018, Extinctions. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up to be. The 2 singles that I've listened to by Unearth so far have been really good, really fun, really nostalgic. So I'm excited. And if you haven't checked out these singles, I highly recommend you do, because again, these boys have existed for as long as metalcore had. So check them out and be excited for the new album. r/metalmemes is still painfully unfunny. Currents have announced their big headlining North American tour. Round of applause for the boys from Currents. This is a big move. On the bill is Like Moss to Flames, Invent Animate, Unity TX, and Foreign Hands. That's a pretty fat lineup if you ask me. So check out the dates and see if they're coming anywhere near you. I already have the tickets for a Toronto date, so if you're in Toronto, let's link up. I'm gonna be there, 100%. See you there. Congrats to Currents. Falling in Reverse has announced a new tour called Popular Monster, which I think is a pretty clever name, all things considered. It features Ice Nine Kills, Under Oath, Spirit Box, Slaughter to Prevail, Crown the Empire, and Catch Your Breath. The boys from Catch Your Breath, I'm really happy for them. This is a big thing for them. I mean, the Twitter has been a shitstorm about this. Ronnie has been replying to every single message about him, telling them how he doesn't care. Well, right. I thought this tweet was pretty cool. Damn, I'm sitting here editing this and I realized that I actually forgot to record the news part of this news. But the news is actually that all of these support bands are under fire for touring with Falling in Reverse, and there's merit to it because, once again, Ronnie Radke has been quite a prominent figure on and off Twitter for the last couple of years, and not just the last couple of years. And you know, there's arguments for both sides saying that, oh, these bands just do what their labels tell them to do, or all these bands just need that extra cash, extra recognition, and others are pushing for, like, you know, bands still are accountable for who they tour with, and of course the final say is usually behind the band anyway. That's all speculation. I don't know what was happening behind the scenes, but it is just a very strange situation. At least half of the set just screams "Cancelled Central," which is very funny, but also kind of disappointing for some bands. I don't know. Personal opinions aside, it's a very strange situation. Don't really care because it's not coming to Toronto, and I probably wouldn't have gone anyway. So, but here we go. News. Anyways, let's move on. Fit for an Autopsy, Thy Art is Murder, and Malevolence has announced a 3-way EP collaboration called The Aggression Session. This is going to be coming out on April 7th, which is quite close around the corner and a little less than a month. And it has some new songs as well as some covers. The first single from Fit for an Autopsy is out already. I'm going to be checking that out on stream tomorrow. But this is, like I said in the beginning, if you've been watching the streams, one of my predictions was this 2023 is going to be a year of collabs, and here you go, this massive 3-way collab. I'm super excited to see what this shapes up to be. This is a new, fresh, spanking fire announcement, and I'm super excited about it. Let's start off with Beartooth announcing a tour with Pierce the Veil conquering Australia this summer with Dayseeker. Sounds like a fire lineup. So if you're in Australia, catch them live, mate. Just like you can catch this Make Them Suffer Never Bloom 10-year anniversary tour featuring Fit for an Autopsy and Ocean Sleeper. Come on, man. These Australian tours are actually illegal and I'm very jealous. Loathe will finally be making a comeback to European scene after cancelling like 50 tours in Europe last year. They're going to be opening for Code Orange, so here's a couple of German shows. While She Sleeps has finally revealed the dates of their big headline tour, a couple of shows in September with Barry Tomorrow. That's so sick. I'm so happy for the boys. To think where they started out and where they are now, this is massive for them, so cheers to While She Sleeps. Of course, don't forget about Bad Omens coming back to US of A with Era and Invent Animate. This lineup is crazy, but of course, fuck us Canucks, am I right? Who cares? Who cares about Canada? Well, that's fine. Maybe next time. I'm sorry. Time for weekly releases. This is the new albums this week. Sounds pretty juicy, looks pretty juicy. Look at that Periphery. Look at that For the Fallen Dreams. Look at that Suicide Silence. Suicide Silence are dropping an album this week? Did you know about this? Why didn't you tell me? What? Okay, check any of these out. These will be pretty fun. Here's the new EPs this week. We only have one. This is from Peng Shui. It's called EP2. Awesome. And we've got an absolute monster amount of singles this week. Some of the notable ones is, of course, the aforementioned Fit for an Autopsy new track called Hellions. Of course, can't forget about Veil of Maya. We have a reaction for that up on YouTube already. Enter Shikari has dropped a new album, and I'm super excited to check out on stream Nick Nocturnal featuring Taylor Barber from Left to Suffer with the song called 578. Super excited to see how that sounds. But yeah, don't forget to check any of these out if you like these bands, or if you don't, if you know, these are new releases. Check them out. Today's week's wildcard is Athena. This is a Norwegian metalcore band that is pretty unique in its sound. It's got a lot of modern elements to it, and these boys have been on my playlist for quite a while, and I highly recommend you check out at least the recent 2 singles called Slip Away and Subway Anthem. These are the singles for the new upcoming album, and I am so excited for it. I think it's going to be around top at the end of my year list. So definitely check these boys out before they call you a bandwagoner, because Athena fucks.
Falling into spring.
Well, anyways, like I promised in the beginning of the video, we're going to be having a guest today. We're going to talk music, we're going to talk new albums and whatnot. And I'm super excited to present to you the first guest of this Late Night HXC. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you are, drop a like if you haven't done so already. But here we go. Here's our little guest segment. Please welcome Chad Ruhlig oh my god.
Tongue twister.
Please welcome Chad Ruhlig from For the Fallen Dreams and Legend. He is with us here today to talk about the new album and a little bit about music. So, Chad, how are you doing? How's everything?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me, man.
As far as I know, you're on tour right now with Gideon and Guerrilla Warfare. How's that going?
Going great. There's been a ton of sold out shows. The fans have been awesome. Lots of new fans, lots of old fans. We've been off for 3.5 years since our last run, which was right before the pandemic with Of Mice and Men. So to come back out here and be playing new songs for everybody and playing some old stuff and just seeing everybody, getting back in the lay of the land and kind of remembering like, oh yeah, this is how we do it, and we do it very well. So it just feels good. It feels good to be back out here.
That's awesome. You mentioned the Of Mice and Men tour. I'm pretty sure I've been to that tour here in Toronto. I think I saw you guys live then. So we were in the same room at one point.
Rad. Yeah, that was a great show, man. That was a long overdue playing Toronto again, but we did Montreal and Toronto, and both those shows were great. Great tour.
Hell yeah, man. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear more bands getting to play live again, because these couple of years have been pretty brutal for live music. So I'm super happy that you guys are playing again. Let's jump into a little bit about the band, For the Fallen Dreams. So your band has existed for quite some time. You guys have been around for decades. And for people who aren't really familiar with you, I guess one thing that sticks out immediately is throughout your career, there has been a lot of past members, people who left and came and stuff like that. So there's a lot of change, and very frequent change, that happened to For the Fallen Dreams, especially like earlier on. How did you guys manage to pull this all together and survive and be out here touring and making new music?
Right. I think it's an old wives' tale that For the Fallen Dreams has had like 40 members. Like I feel like the number continues to grow the longer we've been a band, which is wild. To dive into that a little bit, For the Fallen Dreams started in 2003. Jim Hocking, our guitar player, and Andrew Tkachuk, you may know him as the drummer of the Ghost Inside. They started the band in junior year of high school, right? I joined the band in 2005 in my senior year of high school. We don't know what kind of food we even like at that age, 17, 18 years old. We're not even quite sure, what kind of music we like, what kind of food we like. It changes as we go. So a lot of those earlier members were just a product of being young kids. A lot of those guys came in and they filled in for a tour, or they were around in the band for a year or so. Just when the band was trying to figure out even who we were. I don't think I had a clue what I wanted till I was in my 30s. So lots of growth and change there. So as far as like members go, a lot of guys were either session people who came in for one or more tours, guys who figured out down the line, I like music, I like listening to heavy music, but I'm not so sure I want to dedicate my life to it. Constant in For the Fallen Dreams has always been the key songwriters. Myself, Jim, and Andrew. Even Kalen. So Kalen came and he wrote Back Burner, and he wrote Wasted Youth. But now Kalen's back in the fold with us in this new era as well. So our key core of who For the Fallen Dreams has always been a collective of 3 to 4 people. And it has been that constant, for a majority of the past 17 years that we've been a band. So while the Wikipedia may say that we've had 80 to 100 members, it's with a grain of salt that a lot of those guys could be considered For the Fallen Dreams members. Our core has always kind of stayed the same though. But to survive all that still, even just to be a band for that long, it takes a lot of drive, a lot of dedication, almost 2 decades, 17 years roughly, and 7 records later. It takes a lot of work, man. It's something that it never really ends. And I think this newest record is a testament to exactly that it's constant progression. It's constant pushing the musical boundaries. And as we grow as people, the music is also growing for this band. This band has never said we can only do one thing. I mean, You listen to our discography, and every record, some may be similar, but each record is its own thing. We're here, we're surviving. Hopefully we can keep it under 100 members by the time this record cycle's over with.
Of course. Speaking of the new album, so for those of you watching and listening, For the Fallen Dreams is dropping a new album, a self-titled album, For the Fallen Dreams, March 10th on all platforms.
Mhm.
So the first kind of topic I wanted to touch on with the new album is, of course, it's called self-titled. Self-titled albums names is usually reserved for those who are just starting out or those who are kind of restarting. So
Yeah.
what does that mean? What does that name mean for you?
Well, I think you said it right there, restarting. The rebirth of this band. The obviously there's a very clear distinction that the bands were shifting. People can say, "Oh, this sounds nothing like For the Fallen Dreams," but if you have kept up to date with what I've done with Legend or For the Fallen Dreams, it absolutely sounds like the band still. We're just making that shift, that transition, that rebirth. You know, for a band like we just talked about that's been around for close to 2 decades, has went through the ups and downs of being a band, which is not just touring. It's management, and it's booking, and it's getting tours overseas, and there's so many levels that make a band tick, you know, and to survive that and to still have the drive to want to perform and, you know, be able to still have that love to say this is what we do takes a lot. So to get to this point almost 2 decades later and to say we've grown, the band has grown, we know where we want to go, we know who we are, I know the vocalist and the front man I want to be, and now this is kind of that chance to say this is what this band has evolved into, and we will continue to follow this path, you know, like constant progression. You know, every record is always going to be pushing those boundaries. So I think the self-titled, it's an interesting take, you know, like you said, it could be the first record, like, hey, this is the band. I mean, Slipknot's a great example of that. Or like us, where, you know, we're a little bit older, we're seasoned, we're swimming into a new pond, and we say, you know what, it's time for self-titled. We're proud of where we're at and where we're going to go and what we're doing. Let's make a statement here, not just musically, but letting the world know that this is For the Fallen Dreams.
Well, you touched a bit on the sound overall. So your last album was actually from 2018, 6. That was quite a while ago. Don't even need to get into the whole like pre-COVID era. That's ancient times at this point. So this sound, judging from just the singles that we've heard so far, is quite different. And like you said, it's part of a progression. So just wanted to touch on what kind of like influences influenced the sound of this album and these singles, and what were you kind of going for in general for the Fallen Dreams?
A big part of this sound change has come with the progression of me as a vocalist. Tailoring, you know, this is my first album that I've ever sang on. No one has ever heard me sing until this new material. My musical influence of what I wanted to find myself in, the type of vocalist I wanted to be. You know, I've always been the screaming guy. We know, you know, if you're familiar with what I've done with FTFD or Legend, we know that there's one thing I can do, and I can scream, man. I'll tell you what. But to have to go back and kind of start from scratch and say, I don't know what I'm gonna be yet. I don't know what kind of vocalist or singer I'm gonna be. I still need to find that, and I still am. I don't have a clear picture of the exact singer I want to be. I'm still new to all of this, but I've loved the challenge, and that challenge of being out of my comfort zone and not feeling confident. All those are good feelings. Those are good things to have, to find progression and to become better, is to feel way out of your comfort zone. So I think a big chunk of the sound change came with me trying to dial in who I wanted to be as a singer. Influence wise, you know, like the slide and stuff and the flow and the rhymes, like that stuff came from my love of, you know, early 2000s and late 90s nu metal, you know, the Linkin Park, Limp Bizkits, the Primer 55s, like that's my shit, man. That's what I grew up on. I didn't grow up listening to Minor Threat and all that. I was listening to Slaves on Dope and Cottonmouth King, Mudvayne, and Slipknot. Like, I was nu metal through and through, man. Again, finding yourself is really in this space, I was like, well, what do I love? What is it that makes me excited when I still hear it to this day? It's this type of stuff. So if there's any time now to experiment and then say really like, man, I've idolized guys like Chad Gray or Corey Taylor, Chester or Fred Durst. Like that's what got me into this. Or Jacoby Shaddix. Like, you know, that gave me the confidence to say, hey, that's what you love, man. Do that. Enjoy yourself. Just have fun with it. And this stuff all came out. Nothing was ever forced. And never felt forced to write this record. And in turn, that directly influenced the style of music that the band was writing to tailor to my vocals. And obviously I had my hands in it, and so did the rest of the boys, but we were all very very happy with the way things went. No matter how different they may have been, we were all very happy with the way things turned out for this record.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, man. One other thing that we haven't touched on yet is the actual meaning, the themes, the topics that you guys touch on with this record. If you were, say, forced to describe this album to a stranger, how would you describe what is For the Fallen Dreams about?
This record has lots of emotion. There's songs that even listening to them now, like I'll listen to them and it still gives me chills because there's songs that I've meant every word that I was saying. There's some songs that, you know, I've written in the past or other songwriters and vocalists, you know, they're great storytellers, but maybe they don't believe every word that they're saying. This record was a lot of self-reflection. It was a lot of coming to terms with life and death and loss and grieving, and you know, I'm going through some of that now, and writing about it then. When I started writing this record, it was the fear of losing or the fear of having to grieve. And now here I am almost a year later after writing this record, and I am going through the grieving process, and I am going through some of those feelings. So when I hear these songs that I wrote that were very emotional for me to write at the time, and it's still giving me that same feeling. I guess that was something I wanted to conquer, is not being afraid to touch on things that made me uncomfortable. So this record is a little more darker in that sense lyrically. Songs like Searching are it's, you know, you hear that song, even if it's not your type of music, you know that whoever this guy is means what he's saying. So For the Fallen Dreams has always kind of been that band that we've always tried to write from the heart. We've always tried to, you know, put out music that kind of pulled at your heartstrings. I think it's the most relatable stuff. I think it's the most relatable, and it's the easiest to write about, you know, like storytelling is great. And I think to become a great songwriter and vocalist and lyricist, you need to be able to storytell. But there's something that can be said about just writing completely raw lyrics that there's no undertone to it. You read it and you hear it and you're like, I know exactly what he's saying. So this record, more than any, has been a little more straight to the point, lyric wise. The core of what this band is being able to connect, and that's that's a metal thing.
Yeah,
that's like the metal community is very. We got some gatekeepers out there, but for the most part, man, like the metal community is very close knit. You know what I mean? And it's different than any other genre. You won't get that at a hip hop show. You won't get that at an EDM show. It's a touchy subject, but like even the stuff with like Travis Scott and stuff that happened at the concert, you know, I mean, that's terrible. Like, and we had an outcry of the metal community saying that would have never happened because we all look out for and we take care of each other. So, you know, lyrically, it falls in tune with just being able to connect with the fans as well, but also exercising, you know, those emotions to get them out from my end, and that's always a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, from the singles alone, it's been clear that you guys are pushing for a more personal kind of feeling, a more relatable feeling of kind of like self-discovery almost. And one of my favorite singles, probably my favorite single of yours, is Sulfate. That is definitely my favorite song from this new cycle. But what about you? What is your favorite song of this album, single or non-single?
Searching is definitely one of my favorite songs. Again, it goes right back to what we just talked about. I was really, really feeling that song. And you can tell in my vocal delivery that it's very effortlessly because I was just so amped, like writing that and talking about that song. Without You is another slower one, but it's that was a lot of fun writing that one. I love just the dynamic of that track. Those two for sure. And then my last one, let's just do my top three. Re-animate's rad too, man. Re-animate's a fun song.
Yeah.
It's playing it on this tour has like made me have a whole different love for it, because it's a heavy song, but sometimes songs don't translate the way you think they would live. Re-animate has been a song that has translated very well live. It's been just fun to perform it.
Yeah, Re-animate is the first time I heard that one. That was super fun. It kind of sent me back into like early 2000s, especially the chorus. I'm a big like video games enthusiast, so I've been playing a lot of like Need for Speed early on, and that chorus really sent me back to those games, like those early games. It's I love that one as well. So
that's a compliment, man. The if it can fit on a Need for Speed soundtrack, we're doing all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to hear your top 3 on the album when it actually drops on March 10th. It's going to be a journey. I'm super excited for it. Just a reminder for everyone, For the Fallen Dreams, self-titled, dropping on all platforms March 10th. I got a couple of fun questions for you just to get to know you better. These are just rapid fire, so take as much or as little time answering them as you want, but here we go. So first one is, what are your current 2 or 3 favorite artists? Doesn't have to be bands, could be just any genre, anything you listen to.
Artist. Okay. I'm a big hip hop guy. So I've been just absolutely just driving home the new Young Dolph LP. Rest in peace. I've been listening to that a ton. Band called Prison. I've been a huge fan of theirs for a long time. Love those guys. Friends of mine. They're doing some really killer stuff right now and have a great message. Super cool band. Oh God, it's just all the same stuff. It's just early 2000s new metal.
never grows old.
I know, man. I'm such a one-trick pony when it comes to like, oh, what's your favorite records? I'm like, the same 5 records from 15 years ago. The new Light the Torch record that came out about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Great record. Howard Jones is
legend.
Just can do absolute legend. Like one of the most distinctive, like powerful voices in metal, like of all time. Like the dude is just unreal. And the guitar work on that is phenomenal. The songwriting in general on that record is really good. So let's do that. We're gonna go Young Dolph, Prison, and Light the Torch.
Some awesome picks. I that makes me feel a little ignorant because I feel like I don't know much about anything outside of metal, but definitely. Like I listen to hip hop sometimes too, but it usually ends at NF. Like that's one of my only like rap artists that I listen to, but definitely need to expand the world.
I get it, man. It's I mean, it's with anything. It's same with like EDM stuff, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a big EDM guy, but like our drummer Mark, he listens to a lot of house music. So I don't know house artists, and he's like, "Oh, you've never heard of DJ, Leatherback?" And I'm like, "I have no clue what you're talking about." So if it's good, it's good, man. If it scratches the itch and it gets you excited, then give it a go. So,
well, my next question is a bit of a would you rather one. So, coming from you, who, like you said, you were screaming for the most of your career, would you rather only be able to scream for the rest of your life or sing for the rest of your life? So either or.
Damn, that's a tough one. Because I got the screaming thing down, man. I tell you what, you hear me screaming, you know it's me, and I take great pride in that. But learning to sing and finding my voice has been so much fun. Legitimately has given me a whole new outlook on music. It's made me fall back in love with songwriting because it's something foreign to me. Man, all the OG FTFD and Legend fans are going to be pissed, but I'm gonna stay singing, man, because it's been really fun. Like I feel like I still have like so much more to learn, and I have so much more to like capitalize on. So go singing.
There you go, self-discovery.
Sorry, guys,
the journey.
all my OGs out there. I'm sorry. Singing Ruhlig is on the take now.
And the last one. This one's something else. So, would you rather fight a lion-sized duck or a duck-sized lion? And really think about it.
Okay. Oh wow. A house cat will fuck you up. Like if you have like an angry, just normal ass house cat will mess you up, man. Like I've seen cats attack people and it's not pretty. I think it would be very comical and fun to to beat up on a lion-sized duck. So we're gonna go lion-sized duck because a lion the size of a duck will still cause some serious damage.
That's true. It's like a cat. It's basically a cat.
Yeah. But way more ferocious. So yeah, give me that big ass duck, man. I can take a big ass duck.
There you go. Chad versus big ass duck.
Yeah, love it.
Well, that's pretty much all I have for you, man. I really appreciate you sitting down, having a chat with me, and of course talking a little bit more in depth about the new music and your band, the history. So everyone, check out For the Fallen Dreams. It should be out when this is up, so check it out. Let us know in the comments what you think about it. I'm excited because the stuff you said is super real, and I'm all about the real music, so I'm super excited for the Fallen Dreams.
Appreciate you, brother.
Of course. Yeah, good luck on the rest of your tour, and thank you so much for coming. Really means a lot to me.
See you in Toronto. Yeah, see you in Toronto next time.
All right.
Sounds good.
Take care, man. Appreciate you.
Later, brother.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you for the Fallen Dreams. Check out the new album out now. But this is we're running close to the end of the show already. The first episode is running towards its logical conclusion. But before that, I would like to make fun of you. Comments of the week. How many darkers did they eat for breakfast? About 10:56. Hilarious. That's a very funny one, Chris. Thank you so much for this comment. Well, that's it. What a dumpster fire of a show, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. I really tried. I really tried something with this. I think it's an interesting idea to move forward with. I just don't quite have everything fleshed out, as you might have noticed, with this show quite yet. But I tried my best to put together a pretty entertaining first episode. So let me know what you think about it. I would love to hear your thoughts on this concept, on this idea as a whole. If you liked it, let me know in the comments why you liked it. If you didn't like it, please let me know why you didn't like it. I'm always, fixing shit, adjusting, adapting. So I would love for the second episode to be much better than this one. But that's LNHXC for you. Thank you so much for watching. A little tease for the next episode, whenever it comes, is we already have a guest, and the band's name starts with an F and ends with an A. With that, I'm gonna leave you till the next episode of Late Night HXC. And once again, if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Don't forget to also check out my Twitch. I stream tomorrow, so every Saturday around 3 p.m. And don't forget about my Patreon, because that's where I post my album reactions. But that is going to be it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for support and activity. I really appreciate every single one of y'all. But this is it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Subscribe to For An HXC.